My mom forced me into marriage, saying she'd pulled all sorts of strings to find an exceptionally well-off local man. He's 42 years old. His wife ran off years ago. He has no children, but he owns 3 buildings in an urban village that he rents out. He's even willing to offer 200,000 yuans as a bride price. My mom said, with 200,000, we can get your brother a good wife. And when you become a landlady, don't forget to help your brother out. I married him. Oh, and to keep me from running away, the bride price is being paid out in 36 monthly installments. This all started when I was 18. That year, I dropped out of school and along with a few folks from my hometown, went south to work in a factory. I ended up at an electronics plant, working on the assembly line. Since we didn't have proper documentation, the boss collected our ID cards, afraid we'd be discovered. Every time there was an inspection, us undocumented workers had to hide in the basement. We'd all cover our mouths, not daring to make a sound. It was in that damp, dark place that I met Li Yao Cheng. He was one of the few rays of light in my bleak life. He was 19 that year. In today's terms, he was the best-looking guy at our factory. Fair-skinned, tall, clean-cut, and with perfect Mandarin, he seemed sophisticated, different from everyone else. Because he worked quickly and was clever, the boss put him in charge of us high-risk individuals. At the slightest sign of trouble, he'd have to move us immediately. I remember once, during a raging storm, chaos suddenly erupted outside the main gate. An inspection team had arrived in the downpour. Under Li Yao Cheng's direction, I and over a dozen others rushed into the basement in a panic. The dark, oppressive space felt like a monster's mouth, holding us tightly in its depths. Just as everyone fell dead silent, I suddenly felt something crawl over my foot. Peering down in the faint light seeping through the cracks, I saw a gray rat longer than my hand, its beady green eyes gleaming as it stared right at me. Instantly, my scalp tingled, and every hair on my body stood on end. I let out a reflexive scream. Everyone froze, staring at me with fear in their eyes. Li Yao Cheng's face went pale. If we were discovered, it wouldn't just be us in trouble, the boss would be finished, and he'd be finished too. What was that noise? Came footsteps from above, followed by a stern voice. What's this? A basement? Open it. Probably just a stray cat. Yeah, a cat. We've had a lot of them lately. Such a nuisance. That was the boss's voice. Open it, the man said, clearly not buying it. Sir, it's just full of junk in there, dirty and messy. The boss tried to argue. Stop wasting my time. The man snapped, clearly impatient. Suddenly, Li Yao Cheng pushed everyone into a corner, grabbed an oilcloth tarp from the ground, and threw it over them. But he pulled me toward the exit. Shh, don't say a word. Play along. Through the flimsy door, I could feel danger closing in. Was he planning to throw me out as a scapegoat? Before I could react, he tore open my collar with a rip. A chill hit my neck, and in the dim light, my young skin glowed like fine jade. I instinctively opened my mouth to scream again, but his kiss landed on my lips instead. My mind went blank. I even forgot to struggle, all my fear and shock dissolving into fragmented murmurs. The door swung open. What are you doing? The inspector clearly hadn't expected to walk in on such a steamy scene. Cheng! You! The boss was dumbstruck, stuttering. Li Yao Cheng, looking like a cheating husband caught in the act, flushed red and quickly shielded me, my clothes in disarray. His voice was full of remorse and pleading. Boss, I didn't mean to. Young people. I get it. The boss immediately caught on, smiling sleazily as he looked me up and down, his eyes practically hooking onto me. Wilder than a stray cat, by pretending to be Li Yao Cheng's girlfriend who'd just arrived from out of town, I got off scot-free, and everyone else in the basement stayed safe too. Not long after that, Li Yao Cheng was promoted to workshop supervisor. He became even more smug and turned into the heartthrob of all the factory girls. As for me, though I wasn't like those shallow girls who talked about their crushes all day, it felt like there was something unspoken between us. No one ever brought up what happened that day again, but I had a feeling that sooner or later, I'd become Li Yao Cheng's real girlfriend. After all, he'd kiss me in front of everyone. But a month later, all my dreams of a sweet first love came crashing down. My mom called and told me I was getting married. She said she'd pulled all sorts of strings to find an exceptionally well-off local man who owned 3 buildings in an urban village, the so-called landlord. 42 years old, his wife had run off years ago, and he had no children. If I married him, I'd become a genuine landlady, never having to worry about food or clothes for the rest of my life. I didn't know about being a landlady, but I didn't know he was 6 years older than my dad. The main reason my mom jumped at this marriage was the 200,000 bride price. She'd never seen that much money in her life. With 200,000, not only could my brother go to college, but they could also find him a good wife later. Two birds with one stone. He's too old. I dropped out of school because of my brother, and now I was being forced into marriage because of him again. But I had Li Yaocheng in my heart now, so I instinctively resisted. Besides, the law says women have to be 20 to get married. This isn't legal. Oh ho, you've only been gone a few days, and now you're quoting the law to me. My mom sneered. She'd always favored sons over daughters. To her, my only value as a daughter was probably the hefty bride price I could fetch. Then, she threatened me harshly. Don't push your luck. Someone like you should be grateful a local wants you. Who cares about age? You're so ungrateful. After hanging up, I felt utterly wronged. I really wanted to run to Li Yaocheng and ask him to help me think of something. But I wasn't anything to him. How could I even bring it up? Soon after, my dad called. Xiaoxia, be good. We're doing this for you. While you're young, marry into a good family. Do you really want to work in a factory your whole life? Ha! More like, while I'm young, I can fetch a good price. I laughed coldly. I just found out I'm sick. Probably don't have much time left. My dad's voice choked up. After a moment of silence, he added, your mom has a bad temper, and your brother is still young. Without that 200,000, how will they live? I'd die with regrets. What? My smile froze, and a wave of deep sorrow washed over me. In our family, even though my dad was meek and didn't have much say, he was still the closest to me. And now my nose stung, and I hardened my heart. Dad, don't say any more. I'll marry him. At that moment, Li Yaocheng walked over with his lunchbox, heading to the cafeteria, a reassuring smile on his face. But my tears blurred my vision, and I only felt him drifting further away, like clouds scattered by the wind, gone in an instant. Compared to life and death, what did a budding love even matter? A week later, I quit my job at the electronics factory and moved into the urban village, becoming the wife of landlord Shen Kaifa. Well, wife isn't quite accurate. Since I wasn't legally old enough to marry, he and my family agreed to skip the wedding banquet for now. We'd officially register in 3 years and then have a proper celebration. To protect both parties' interests, the 200,000 yuan bride price was split into 36 installments, transferred to my mom's account on the 15th of every month. In other words, I was bought by Shen Kaifa in monthly payments. Shen Kaifa was a local born and raised here. His family owned 3 6-story self-built houses. Originally in the suburbs, they'd accidentally ended up in the sub-center as the city expanded. With more companies moving in and more migrant workers flooding in, he simply hung up a white-collar apartments sign and comfortably became a landlord. Our marital home was arranged on the east side of the 6th floor of Building No. 2. Apparently, a master had checked the feng shui and declared it an excellent spot. Not only would it bring the owner endless wealth, but it would also ensure a thriving family with many descendants. At least 3 kids, Shen Kaifa stated emotionlessly on our wedding night, as if I were just a breeding machine he'd bought. I was terrified, my whole body stiff, unsure what storm was about to hit. But it was over in less than a minute. Maybe there were benefits to being older after all. I finally relaxed a little, my tense body easing up. Not bad, he sighed contentedly. I heard you were involved with some guy at the factory. I was worried. Right then, I felt utterly disgusted, as if I'd swallowed a fly stuck in my throat. I could only squeeze my eyes shut, pretending to be asleep, but my heart twisted in pain. It was at that moment I clearly realized I'd lost Li Yaocheng forever. The man who'd given me warmth and light in the darkness was gone completely, never to return. Over a month after getting married, my mom finally called for the first time. There were 2 main points. First, to hurry up with the second installment of the bride price. Second, to ask if I was pregnant. Getting pregnant isn't just up to one person, I mumbled. Too embarrassed to say that Shen Kaifa simply couldn't perform each time lasted less than a minute. And even that was after he'd taken pills. Useless. Just like your dad. My mom cursed over the phone. Making marriage a hassle. Making babies a hassle, what good are you really? Shen Kaifa took the phone and said with a smile, Mom, don't be angry. Xiaoxia is still young. There'll be a child sooner or later. Yes. Yes. Zhao Shen is so understanding. My mom immediately changed her tone, beaming at this son-in-law nearly 10 years her senior. Her flattery didn't lose an ounce of its intensity even over the miles. And the bride price. You see, Don't worry. I'll transfer it right away, Shen Kaifa replied cheerfully, picking up his phone and sending 5,555 yuans to my mom's bank account. Not a cent more, not a cent less. With a ding, I heard the notification sound from the other end of the line. It's here. It's here. Zhao Shen, you really are something else, my mom exclaimed joyfully. Well, I won't bother you two anymore. That's all for now. After hanging up, a faint, contemptuous smile crossed Shen Kaifa's face. He then pinched my chin. Finding a rich husband, that's fortune you've cultivated over lifetimes. My feelings were complicated. It was like being livestock at a market, forced to watch the buyer and seller trade while I could do nothing but smile, afraid of being unwanted. Life went on uneventfully, seeing how honest and loyal I was. Shen Kaifa finally entrusted me with an important task, managing the white-collar apartments. Of course, the QR code for rent collection was still his. These 3 buildings have 30 rented units in total. Rent collection is scheduled from the 1st to the 30th of every month. Shen Kaifa laughed exaggeratedly, revealing a set of yellow teeth. He glanced at me sideways. Your husband is so considerate, right? Afraid you'd be bored, so he gave you something to do every day. Collecting money. I could only nod. Was this consideration? More like he was afraid I'd have too much free time to go out. Besides, what did the money have to do with me? Though the schedule irked me, I had to admit that when I held that heavy bundle of keys, my vanity was immensely satisfied. No wonder everyone wanted to be a landlord. Watching tenants older than me hand over their hard-earned money brought an indescribable pleasure. It was as if the whole world were mine, as if I were the queen ruling over everything. Of course, that feeling only lasted during the daytime rent collections. At night, Shen Kaifa was the true king, and I was just fish on the chopping block, at his mercy. To be honest, after more than a year of marriage, I still didn't know what a real kiss felt like. During those moments, I'd close my eyes and imagine the person beside me was Li Yao Cheng, desperately trying to recall that sudden first kiss etched deep in my memory, forceful yet gentle, utterly intoxicating. That lingering flicker of emotion in my heart carried me through one unbearable night after another. Overall, Shen Kaifa was fairly satisfied with my performance. Though he was lacking in that department, as a wife, I never seemed to show any disdain. Not only did I not resist, but I often wore an expression of enjoyment, which thoroughly boosted his masculine pride. There was just one thing, my belly remained still. You're not a hen that doesn't lay eggs, are you? He suddenly snapped one day during lunch. No. I wasn't just making it up. Because my parents were pressuring me, I'd already gone to a clinic for a checkup. Everything was normal. You say no? So it's no? Shen Kaifa eyed me suspiciously. Had one with some other man. What kind of talk is that? I didn't want to engage and stood up to leave, but Shen Kaifa grabbed my arm. Guilty conscience, huh? Was it that guy from the factory? Shen Kaifa was being utterly unreasonable. Do all impotent men have such inferiority complexes and paranoia? And of all people, he had to bring up Li Yao Cheng, the one I kept buried in my heart, untouched. So it was him. Shen Kaifa slammed his chopsticks on the table and slapped me across the face in a rage. Slut. Whether I've had a child or not. Shouldn't you know? I covered my stinging cheek. Had he forgotten how smug he'd been on our wedding night when he saw the proof of my virginity? Hey, Emph! He seemed to remember, knowing he was in the wrong. Grinding his teeth, he scratched his head. That thing can be fixed. Just a few $100. I felt deeply insulted. In a rush of anger, I blurted out, I've already been checked. There's no problem. Maybe you should go to the hospital. How dare you, you bitch. Those words struck a nerve. Shen Kaifa lunged up, grabbed my hair, and smashed my head against the table. Leftover food and soup splattered everywhere. Several bowls and plates shattered, and tiny, sharp shards pierced my smooth forehead. Blood soon streamed down my face. The wound wasn't large, but it was horrifying to see. I struggled desperately, screaming for help, trying to break free from Shen Kaifa's grip. But it was useless. The disparity in strength between men and women was just too great. My head buzzed, my vision darkened, and I felt like I was dying. Not a single tenant dared to intervene. In this city, the coldest thing was human compassion. No one wanted to meddle in others' business. Unexpectedly, this violent scene seemed to excite Shen Kaifa's nerves. He suddenly grew aroused. This time, it lasted a full half hour, a miracle in the medical world. For the next week, Shen Kaifa was in high spirits, humming tunes whenever he came and went. Over the weekend, He even broke precedent and transferred 520 yuans to me, saying everyone was celebrating Valentine's Day. With my face covered in band-aids, I let out a cold laugh. This was truly blood money. Shen Kaifa had discovered a pattern. Every time he felt aroused, he'd find ways to beat me, and it had to draw blood. Only with blood could he feel triumphant. So, from that day on, my body was always covered in bruises. Some might ask, why didn't you call the police? This is domestic violence. How could I call the police? Never mind that the injuries weren't severe enough to meet legal standards. If the remaining bride price wasn't paid, my mom would beat me to death. I had to endure for 3 years. Then I'd definitely escape. But after the spring festival, I changed my mind. It happened to be February 14th, Valentine's Day. Several new tenants arrived, and among the crowd, I saw Li Yaocheng. After so long apart, he seemed even more steady and composed. Just standing there, he seemed to glow, radiating a mature charm he hadn't had before. When I suddenly saw that face I'd dreamed of day and night, I thought I was hallucinating. I pinched my thigh hard. Xiaoxia, go arrange their rooms, Shen Kaifa said, busy directing workers to renovate the exterior of building number 2, too occupied to deal with the details. I was overjoyed. I tucked my hair behind my ears and bit my lips hard, trying to make myself look healthier. Landlady, do you have any higher floors? I prefer quiet. Li Yaocheng didn't seem to recognize me at all, his eyes showing no ripple of emotion. How about the top floor? I suppressed a leaping heart in my chest, feeling it was about to burst out. That'll do. His voice was still so captivating, hoarse and magnetic, stirring something inside. Room 603, building no 2. I handed him a shiny silver key, onto which I'd poured all my unspoken words. How have you been these years? Why did you leave the factory? Where are you working now? Most importantly, do you remember me? Lin Xiaoxia, the girl you kissed? Xiaoxia, take them up first. Shen Kaifa stood in the dusty construction site, covered in a layer of plaster, looking like a plump terracotta warrior from afar. Okay, I agreed before he even finished speaking, my enthusiasm puzzling to anyone watching. Everyone knew that landlady Lin Xiaoxia hated climbing stairs the most. After quickly arranging the others, I slowly led Li Yaocheng up to the 6th floor. The noisy chatter faded away. In the corridor, it was just him and me, one behind the other. Listening to his steady, powerful footsteps behind me, each step seemed to tread on my heart, sweet yet painful. The air was filled with his scent, familiar yet strange, carrying the memories of my youth. I couldn't help but take a stealthy deep breath, but this tiny movement caught his attention. Tired? Want to rest a bit? No, I'm not tired, I stammered, hoping he'd recognize me yet afraid he would a complex, tangled feeling. I remember you hated climbing stairs the most. Li Yaocheng smiled and glanced sideways. Seeing my stunned expression, he added, I recognized you as soon as I walked in. There were too many people, so I didn't want to make a scene. He recognized me. He actually remembered me. At that moment, my mind exploded with a roar, like brilliant fireworks bursting into the most dazzling colors. Have you forgotten? I'm seeing me stand there speechless. Li Yaocheng prepared to introduce himself. Li Yaocheng, I know. I smiled reservedly, trying hard to hide the excitement in my heart. I saw your name when you registered. Haven't seen you in years. Never thought you'd become a landlady, a rich woman. Li Yaocheng shrugged and chuckled, a self-deprecating tone in his voice. Not like me, still a laborer. You've got it wrong. I'm not. How absurd. Just because I was with Shen Kaifa, a landlord, did that make the former factory girl rich? I repeated, I really don't have money. Haha. Don't worry. I won't skip rent. Li Yaocheng misunderstood my meaning. My mood soared. Walking downstairs, I even hummed a tune for the first time. The thought of seeing Li Yaocheng every day from now on made my heart flutter like a startled deer. Yes, I deliberately assigned him to room 603, building no 2 right across from the room I shared with Shen Kaifa. That was the closest distance I could manage. The rooms were in high demand and were all rented out that same day. Having collected a large sum of money, Shen Kaifa was in a great mood and began finding new ways to hurt me. I gritted my teeth, enduring silently, afraid Li Yaocheng might hear. Seeing me silent, Shen Kaifa grew even more aggressive. Sharp pain pierced deep into my soul. Finally, I couldn't hold back. A low cry escaped, laced with restrained agony, sorrow, and shame. He hits you? Li Yaocheng had indeed heard. The next morning, Taking advantage of the absence of others, he asked. No, I lowered my head deeply. This wasn't something to be proud of. I instinctively pulled at my sleeves, trying to cover the evidence of an unhappy marriage. He yanked my hand away, revealing bruises, some old and faded, others fresh and scabbed over. Perhaps not expecting it to be this bad, Li Yaocheng stared dumbfounded at the injuries, momentarily stunned. Afraid Shen Kaifa might see, I quickly pulled my arm back and forced a strained smile. It's nothing. You get used to it. Li Yaocheng didn't say a word. After giving me a deep look, he turned and walked out. Watching his retreating figure, tears welled up instantly. I slumped into a chair, wishing I could just break down and cry. He would look down on me. Yes, he definitely would. For money, Lin Shaoxia had not only married a middle-aged man but also willingly endured abuse, showing no backbone at all. Just as I was wallowing in self-pity, Li Yaocheng suddenly returned. Here. He held out a tube of ointment. Just bought it. It'll help you heal faster. And no, I don't need it. I instinctively refused. Seeing my sad and awkward state, Li Yaocheng simply took my arm and carefully applied the ointment, blowing gently as he did. It might sting a bit. Bear with it. My defenses crumbled instantly. The tears I'd held back for so long fell in a torrent. No one had ever asked if I was in pain. He was the first. If you need any help, tell me. After finishing, Li Yaocheng took a deep breath and remained silent for a long moment before saying, I'm going to work. I didn't say a word, watching him leave with red-rimmed eyes. In my days, a feeling of reluctance washed over me, like a wife seeing her husband off. I knew this was wrong. Even though Shen Kaifa and I hadn't officially registered our marriage, we were husband and wife. He had paid my family a large sum as a bride price and unchangeable contract. Besides, Shen Kaifa had deep local connections and was such a violent man. I didn't want to ruin Li Yaocheng. I don't know who leaked the news, but someone said they saw Li Yaocheng applying ointment on me. At sunset, Shen Kaifa stormed back from a mahjong game and slapped me the moment he walked in. Slut! He cursed. Learning to seduce men now? Are you crazy? I covered my face, eyes filled with terror. This was the first time he'd hit me in front of others. Neighbors swarmed from all directions, gathering at the door to watch the spectacle. Calm down. Let's go play mahjong. A few close friends stepped forward to pull him away. Perhaps fearing they'd become a laughingstock, Shen Kaifa left in a huff. That night, another beating was inevitable. As if deliberately wanting Li Yaocheng, who lived across the hall, to hear, Shen Kaifa hit harder and more viciously this time, cursing as he struck. Take a piss and look at yourself in it. What do you think you are? I curled up in a corner, covering my head, enduring the storm of blows. In my days, I felt like I was about to die. Knock, knock, knock. Just then, urgent knocking sounded at the door. It was Li Yaocheng. You can't hit people like this. It's illegal. I'm disciplining my wife. What's it to you? Shen Kaifa's face darkened. I guessed if it weren't for Li Yaocheng paying rent, he'd have thrown a punch. If you hit her again, I'm calling the police. Li Yaocheng said through gritted teeth, the veins on his temples faintly visible. Shen Kaifa glared at him fiercely for a moment before slamming the door shut with a bang. That night, thanks to Li Yaocheng's intervention, I escaped further harm. For a long time after, whether out of fear of being reported or some semblance of remorse, Shen Kaifa didn't lay a hand on me again. My tense heart gradually relaxed. I thought perhaps after this incident, everything would get better. Little did I know, beneath the unusual calm, a storm was brewing. Shen Kaifa suddenly seemed like a different person and started treating Li Yaocheng like a brother. Ah Cheng! You're right. A wife is meant to be cherished, not beaten. Ah Cheng! I'm so much older than you, yet I'm not as sensible. How shameful. Ah Cheng! I'll take you into business someday and make you rich. At first, when Shen Kaifa said these things, I felt extremely uncomfortable, and Li Yaocheng seemed uneasy too, thinking Shen Kaifa was deliberately trying to embarrass us. Unexpectedly, Li Yaocheng actually started making money. Holding his first 100,000 yuans, he was so moved he nearly cried. Brother Fa, thank you so much. No need for thanks. We're family. Shen Kaifa shook his head smugly, wearing a sincere expression. I treat you like my own brother. Why let the good water flow to outsiders? Seeing Shen Kaifa being so generous made me uneasy. I asked Li Yaocheng privately, what exactly is this business you're doing? Don't get scammed. Investment and wealth management. It pays fast, Li Yaocheng said happily. Shaoxia, I've worked for so many years and never seen this much money. I'm glad you're making money, I said with a hint of bitterness. The closer Li Yao Cheng got to Shen Kaifa, the farther he drifted from me. Xiaoxia, actually, Brother Fa isn't a bad person. He just has a bad temper. Li Yao Cheng scratched his head. I might have misunderstood him before. Since you married him, you should try to live well together. Hearing this, I didn't know what expression to wear. Perhaps for men, money and career were always more important than love. Even the white moonlight in my heart was no exception. I smiled self-deprecatingly. I never deserved him anyway. Maybe this was for the best. Shen Kaifa held no grudges. Li Yao Cheng was striving to improve himself, and I would return from my misguided ways. What a perfect ending. Just then, I discovered I was pregnant, and that stirring in my heart finally fell completely silent. With a child, Shen Kaifa and I would be bound together for life. As for Li Yao Cheng, he would have his own life, his own wife and children. What happened before? Let's just pretend it never happened. Shen Kaifa was overjoyed, hugging, kissing, and even biting me in his excitement. Suddenly, he realized he was being too rough and might harm the baby in my belly. He quickly took 2 steps back, awkwardly rubbing his hands. Xiaoxia, from today on, you don't need to do anything. Just rest well and give me a fat, healthy son. I nodded numbly. Whatever. It was clear Shen Kaifa was genuinely happy. For the first time, he generously transferred 50,000 yuans to me, calling it a baby bonus. Everyone was happy. Only I wasn't. 3 months later, Li Yao Cheng came to borrow money from me. Xiaoxia, can you lend me 50,000 yuans? I'll pay it back in 3 days, he said, looking anxious, his eyes constantly darting to his phone. I hesitated, thinking of that baby bonus, and nodded. Even if we couldn't be together, he was still the one who mattered most to me deep down. Whenever and wherever if he asked, I would never refuse. I'll write an IOU. Li Yao Cheng scribbled a few lines on an A4 sheet, tore it in half, and handed 1 piece to me. 1 copy each. I won't go back on my word. No need. My heart ached, and I pushed it back. Even brothers should keep clear accounts. Li Yao Cheng chuckled, took the stack of money, and vanished into the night. 3 days later, Li Yao Cheng didn't return. Shen Kaifa said he'd heard rumors about imminent demolition and planned to add more floors to building number 1. He was short on cash and asked me for that 50,000 yuans. The truth came out. Lin Xiaoxia, you slut! He glared at me venomously and spat hard. How dare you use my money to support another man? You're asking for death. I bit my lip. Tears surged instantly. I held them back with great effort but ultimately swallowed them down along with a wave of immense sorrow. That bastard! If I catch him, I'll beat him to death. He kicked again. I quickly shielded my belly, afraid for the child. His voice was filled with uncontrollable rage. I treated him like a brother, and he covets my wife. He deserves to die. Don't say such ugly things. I just lent it. He'll pay it back. I hugged myself tightly, curling into a ball trying to explain. You really are shameless. Shen Kaifa looked at me with contempt. He's long gone, and you're still defending him? I had nothing to say. Stop glaring at me with those dead fish eyes. He stood up impatiently and pointed at my belly. Once the baby is born, we're doing a paternity test immediately. If there's the slightest doubt, I'll smash this bastard to pieces. You dare? Blood stained my lips, a metallic taste filling my mouth. I stared fixedly at this monstrous man and repeated, if you dare touch my child, I'll fight you to the death. Bang! The door was slammed shut hard. Tears streamed down my face instantly as I stared blankly out the window. Li Yao Cheng, where on earth have you gone? Even without the 50,000 yuans, the construction on building number 1 proceeded as scheduled. After all, demolition waits for no one. Still upset about Li Yao Cheng, Shen Kaifa was in a foul mood. He even worked shirtless on site, vigorously mixing cement as if venting his anger. Clutching that IOU tightly, I didn't dare say or do anything. Waves of sorrow rose from deep within. No matter how harshly Shen Kaifa cursed, the undeniable fact was that Li Yao Cheng had run away. Between me and 50,000 yuans, he had made the clearest choice possible. Man, so practical. The construction progressed quickly. Shen Kaifa worked like a dedicated laborer, meticulously laying bricks and applying cement every day. Even after the other workers left, he'd often toil alone until midnight, as if his pent-up frustrations were slowly easing. Watching all this, I sighed. Just be a landlady. Isn't collecting rent satisfying enough? Why bother with emotions? They only hurt you, body and soul. On the day building number 1 was completed, A group of strangers showed up. Where's Shen Kaifa? Tell him to come out. Who are you? I cradled my belly, eyeing the men and women before me warily. Oh, you must be Shen Kaifa's little wife. Your belly's already this big. Be careful of a miscarriage. A middle-aged woman glanced at me sideways, her face full of disdain. How can you say that? I was baffled, unsure how I'd offended her to deserve such a vicious curse. Tell Shen Kaifa to come out. This has nothing to do with you, a man snarled. What's going on? What do you want? Shen Kaifa finally appeared. Seeing the group, he visibly stiffened. Dear brother-in-law, you remember me, right? The middle-aged woman pushed forward, wiping her tears. You've lived comfortably all these years, taking a new wife, having a child, while my poor sister remains missing to this day. Hearing this, I suddenly understood. These were the family of Shen Kaifa's first wife. It was said they hadn't been in contact for over a decade. Why appear now? Spare me the nonsense. What do you want? Shen Kaifa looked impatient, as if he wanted nothing to do with these people. We heard this place is going to be demolished. The middle-aged woman wiped her face and instantly changed her expression, smiling as she leaned in. Shouldn't my sister get half? Impossible. Shen Kaifa was prepared. He widened his eyes and said sharply, She's been missing for over a decade, declared dead long ago. Besides, I gave you 100,000 yuans back then. We agreed it was settled. Oh, you think 100,000 yuans is enough to brush us off? The woman shouted. These buildings of yours must be worth tens of millions. Even if they're worth billions, it's none of your business. Shen Kaifa stood firm. His tough attitude enraged the group. Seeing they couldn't get anything, they went berserk and charged in. Several men even grabbed shovels from the nearby construction site and started smashing things wildly. Terrified, I shrank into a corner, not daring to move. I don't know how long the chaos lasted when suddenly, the middle-aged woman yelled, Look, what's this? The noise ceased instantly. Peering through the cracks, I saw a large section of the wall had been hacked open, revealing stark white bones. Shen Kaifa's face turned worse than pig liver. He swallowed hard, looked at the people before him, and said with difficulty, How much do you want? I'll pay. Shen Kaifa never got the chance to pay. The group called the police. Tests confirmed the accidentally discovered bones belonged to Shen Kaifa's wife, who had been missing for nearly 20 years. Turns out, Shen Kaifa had always been an abuser. Years ago, during a quarrel, he accidentally killed his wife. To cover up the crime, he claimed she had run away and gone missing, but he had hidden her body inside the wall. Thinking it would remain a secret forever, he never expected it to be accidentally exposed during the scramble for property. Shen Kaifa was sentenced to death. The child in my womb became the sole heir to these 3 buildings. My parents and brother happily moved from our hometown to live with me, embracing the life of landlords. As for the demolition, it was never finalized. Later, I heard this area wasn't included in the city's development plans. Everyone thought it was a pity. Only I secretly felt relieved. As long as these buildings remained, as long as I stayed here, there was always a chance Li Yaocheng would return. Deep down, I never believed he was a man who would break his promises. 10 years later, now, I am a true landlady, sporting a head of permed curls, wearing flip-flops, and sometimes even with a toothpick dangling from my mouth. Xiaji, I heard our area is going to be demolished, said the owner of the pharmacy next door. Demolish, 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 they've been saying that for 10 years. I spat. And you believe it? Early the next morning, I received a notice from the community, instructing me to bring all necessary documents to register the property area. Demolition had really arrived. Demolition crews entered the urban village. Watching the dust rise, the memories of these years flashed through my mind like scenes from a worn-out film. From a factory girl to a landlady, I had weathered too many storms. Familiar and unfamiliar faces flickered before my eyes, evoking sighs of emotion. Someone come quickly. There's a dead person in this wall. A worker clearing the site shouted. Part of the wall in building No. 1, which Shen Kaifa had personally renovated, slowly crumbled. A strong wind blew, and a yellowed piece of paper drifted from the rubble to my feet. The writing on it was still faintly visible. I, Li Yaocheng, hereby borrow 50,000 yuan from Lin Shaoxia to be repaid in 3 days. Li Yaocheng. The end.